Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from LastStandGamers, and welcome. So in preparation for the Dogfighting League, I thought I'd give you some interesting tips, tricks, and tactics in the form of the Naval Academy. Now the Naval Academy is all going to be about dogfighting, so prepare yourself and you better get your ships ready. So first off, let's have a look at two of the ships I've designed, one from the medium category and one from the large, and towards the end we'll get more onto the targets and tactics and how to move within a dogfight with these sort of ships. So now moving on, we're going to take a look at a number of ships that you've probably seen before in a number of videos, and we're just going to talk about the characteristics and the abilities that make them a good all-around fighter. Now this is the Henry Mark II, a variation of the Henry line of ships, and as you can see it's got very strong forward and backwards thrust. That is extremely important when it comes to actually entering into a dogfight, stopping, out-turning, out-maneuvering your enemy. And outmaneuvering also includes the use of gyroscopes, and this ship, due to its size and lightness, can turn extremely fast. Paired up with them powerful engines, allows you to do some quite interesting moves in a dogfight. Now, something that is quite interesting to have a look at on this ship is the actual lack of side thrusters. We've actually only got one side thruster on either side. Now, the ability to actually have one less thruster or a number of less thrusters on the side allows us to actually drift this ship around corners and make it turn a lot faster when it comes to actually moving and drifting around and using the lack of the inertia dampeners. Now, something else that's quite interesting to take consideration is your weapons placement. So on top we have got a reloadable rocket launcher. Now these reloadable rocket launchers are extremely useful because you can supply them with an ammo crate. But when using a rocket launcher, it's very important to actually take in consideration the actual ability when you're firing them to be very careful, because if you go too fast, the rocket actually has a set speed and you'll bump into your own rocket. The same applies when turning. You don't want to turn into your own rocket. And now as we move on, we've got 3 machine guns that are underneath and on both sides of the cockpit. And when it comes to taking into position of the machine guns, you want all your weapons close to the cockpit as possible, so you get a really tight grouping and you can aim it quite accurately. The further they are away from the cockpit, the harder they're going to be to aim, and more importantly, if a fighter's coming towards you, your guns may be around him and not actually hitting the target that you're trying to aim for. Just something to take into consideration. Now, say you didn't want to build a small fighter, you wanted to build something a little bit heavier that could absorb a lot more damage. Now, as you can see, this is much larger than Henry that we saw before. This is built of heavy armor, and the problem is when you start to get a heavy ship, you have to build more thrusters, you have to build a lot more power just to propel that ship and keep up with the smaller, faster fighters. And when it comes to more power, you're going to need more energy, so you're going to actually have to have a bigger reactor, and it's going to cause the ship to actually bulk up very fast. So it's something you want to take into consideration when it comes to building this. On this particular model of ship, we've got retractable landing gears. The front landing gear folds out, the other two retract, adding for that nice little extra feature. And for the armament, we've actually got 5 Gatling guns, so this thing is going to actually just completely dominate anything it locks onto. And since you're going to be taking quite a bulk of the fire, since you're a heavy armored ship, you're going to be wanting to draw the lighter fighters away from your teammates so you can all do maximum sort of damage. And tucked within the wings, we have got some rocket launchers. Now these can be a little bit temperamental when you start tucking rocket launchers away, so you really want to be careful how you're firing them. Now if we move around the back of the ship, you can actually see we've not got too much exposed on the center of the hull. We've got an armored back that is double layered in thickness, and it's there to just stop as much of the rounds going through and into the reactor. And then themselves, the pods are on each wing, and thinking about it, most ships actually have a central target area that won't extend out to the pods, so they'll be doing more damage to this large central hull, and you'll be quite safe and protected. Now obviously the front cockpit of every ship is going to be a weak spot, so you're going to have to do everything you can to protect that. You can either try hiding it away, or if you've got balls you can just stick it out in front and try to protect it with interesting angles. As you can see, we've got a V-shaped hull to protect it from the lower arcs, but it's still giving really good visibility, and that's what we want. We want visibility so we can see fighters coming at us. So now we've taken a look at both the small and medium sort of fighter classes, let's move on to some dogfighting tactics. Now the first thing I want to discuss with you is the head-on collision. Now this occurs a lot in Space Engineers. Both players are going in straight at each other, going for the kill. Now there is no winners in this situation, you will both die if you collide. The only thing that you can do is be the bigger man and pull off. But whoever pulls off first is going to be the person at the disadvantage. He's going to be the person that's now chased. But remember, we're in space, engineers. We're in space. We do not have to follow the direct flight lines. We do not have to pull up and just turn left. We can pull up, turn left, disable our inertia dampeners, spin our turrets around, take the guy out, and we can do all this while traveling the same direction. Simply reactivating our inertia dampeners and continuing to fly will just make it absolutely perfect. We can kill people from all sorts of angles. We can also drift around targets. Now, when it comes to drifting, this is very useful when it comes to actually asteroids. By applying a side direction, also with a forward thrust and disabling your inertia dampeners, this will allow you to actually drift around an asteroid, maybe around an object, so you can focus your fire and continue flying. So the most important thing is do not fly in a straight line towards your target. This counts when you're taking on big ships and small ships. You're going to make a much easier target. By adding a slight drift as you're attacking, your people are going to have to track onto you, and it's going to make it a lot harder to actually kill you. Now, in the heat of a dogfight, adrenaline's going to kind of kick in, and you'll be in a bit of an intense combat, stuck concentrating on taking out that enemy fighter. Now, this is the least of your worry, because if he's playing you well, he will lead you out for his buddy. You need to keep a full situational awareness and try to avoid getting tunnel vision on that one target, or a friendly of his might come up right behind you and pop a rocket right up your thruster. And now that sounded mighty strange. But anyway, let's continue on. Now, moving on to the final tactic that I want to cover, and this is a general dogfighting tip. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is something that I don't want to see, and it causes a lot of players' deaths. Now, in many movies in space, you see them do a full 360, enable their inertia dampeners, and they're flying backwards, shooting at the vehicle behind them. Now, every time I've seen this happen, the pilot who turns around tends to get the crap lit out of him, or it ends in a head-on collision. But anyhow, be very careful out there and fly safe.
I know, these ships that Sages build, they always seem like they're missing something. I don't know about you. Look at it. Look, it's just parts. I think you're missing engines, maybe. Maybe that's what...
Oh God. Did I forget to put the engines on?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
Looks like you did. I don't know about... the protection of this cockpit as well is debatable. I mean...
Yeah, I know. I wanted to put more stuff in there, but I wanted a lot of visibility. You know, I thought about glass too, but it gets in the way sometimes.
Oh, I've been detached. Look at this. I'm just floating off. Look, I've been detached. Look at the little square going off.
This is an awful place for ships just appearing out of hyperspace.
This game has come a long way. We have to acknowledge that. The fact that in the past, this would have caused massive lag, slowdown, and everything would have gone to pot. The fact that we just crashed 3 giant ships together.
What sort of game can you like spawn a tank in and throw it at someone?
And then watch the metal deform and break. Yeah.
I mean,
like 60 FPS.
I mean, I've just thrown a Land Raider at someone, and it's just there.